My name is Rangga. I am originally from the Netherlands, but I live mostly overseas. I am greatly enjoying myself here in Korea and at LTL. So it's only been 3 weeks. I really wanted to stay longer, but because I have a course coming up in April in Japan, I gotta go. If it weren't for that, I would have stayed for a whole year, most likely. You know, this place is incredible. I possess about a year of experience in Japan, and I feel like because of my profession, it would be very beneficial for me to be able to know an additional language, to be able to reach more people, but also experience another culture that is not exactly like Japan, but, well, similar to it in some respects. And I have always been curious about Korea. As one of my best friends is Korean, and he would always tell me about how it's different here than in Japan, because we were in Japan together. And what's better here, with the food being like cheaper, and like, oh, we have these kinds of facilities and these kinds of entertainment industries, and I've always been interested in Korea. Well, my Korean was next to zero when I began. I could only read Hangul, but the funny thing is, right, so the class I'm in, the basic class, is originally, from what I believe, is originally intended for people who do not know any Hangul. But I already knew Hangul for the most part, because I never even studied it formally. I had this application in my phone that allowed me to memorize the Korean alphabet, and I would only look at it about 5 minutes every day, because I would only use it when I was in the bathroom. Now, of course, that was only reading, only the alphabet, only Hangul, and I didn't know any grammar or sentence structure and all those things, which is exactly what LTL helped me with learning, and I can actually form coherent sentences now. The teacher explained very well how to read certain characters and the differences between them that I was definitely not familiar with. Certain letters still sound absolutely the same to me, but pronunciation and all that, the teacher absolutely helped me with that. The vibe is different from what I'm used to, because my experience in studying at language schools equated to being in a classroom with at least 8 people. Having experienced smaller class sizes, it feels more focused upon every single individual, almost to the point where I was actually given a warning as to remind myself that it's a group lesson and not just about me. Whereas, in the other school, it's kind of like, if one person's struggling, it stands out less. But if one person's struggling here, the teacher puts extra attention to actually make sure that they make it as well. I think they're all very friendly, especially Kyle. He's my favorite, even though we don't even share a class together. He does not teach me, but we happen to have a lot in common. It's actually really surprising how the staff, I just mean to say, you feel very familiar in like an informal setting. Not really informal, it's like they're very friendly. They treat you as an equal, is what I mean. Is how I like to put it. They don't actually exert their superiority as professors and staff members. It really just feels like you're talking to friends, especially when I found out about the going out for lunches around the area after every class, after every day of school, and then sitting together and talking about completely normal things that you would with anybody else your age or anybody else in your field or of interests and stuff like that. Hang out with the teachers and the staffs and stuff like that. Really unique. I've never experienced that before. It's really wonderful. I absolutely didn't know anything about Hongdae before I arrived. I didn't know anything about Korea to begin with. All I knew was, LTL, it's the language school in Hongdae. I come here on a Saturday, by the way. I arrive on a Saturday afternoon, I'm like, okay, let me familiarize myself with the area. I see Red Road and all those shopping streets and stuff like that. It's cool. And then once it gets dark, I'm just like, what are all these people lining up for, man? What are all these locals and stuff, these Koreans lining up for? And then you start hearing like loud bass from like speakers and music, and then found out, oh wait a second, this is the party district. Yeah, so I didn't know anything about like clubs or bars or anything like that, but I started frequenting one particular place, and I don't drink alcohol. I'm the only person there who does not drink alcohol, right? So the staff members, they started recognizing me as that one bald dude who only drinks water. Yes, absolutely. I would most definitely recommend LTL. And like I mentioned earlier, there's language schools that do larger classes that have, they teach all the same stuff to everybody. But here it's more personalized almost. In a way, it's actually unique. It's actually very unique and very interesting. But they do tailor their method of teaching to your needs. I definitely recommend it for those reasons. It's like personal. It's like tailored to your needs. They actually listen to you. They take you more seriously. And if you're struggling, if one person struggles, it's 25% of the class. I would advise familiarizing yourself with the environment, conducting some research, especially if the country that you're coming from is vastly different and the way of life is different, and rules of conduct and social stuff like that is different. I definitely recommend you kind of look around and copy the locals. There's one major difference. One thing that I noticed about LTL, that's not necessarily a bad thing, depends on the people, depends on the person, but in Japan, when I first learned Japanese, it was in a language school where they forbade English. I wish they kind of did that here sometimes. Sometimes I wish that they forced us to only use Korean. They encourage it once you're able to, which is very good. I recommend you do try your hardest. Like, how do I say this in Korean? Say that in Korean. If you're able to ask that, I think that's one. And like actually stick to using Korean as much as you can. It would benefit you greatly.